All right, Jay Martinez with Fight TV here with Jim Lampley, one of the greatest of all time. To do it, man, there's so much to talk about, but I want to get started with the first thing. Gervonta Davis, Frank Martin. It's a big fight. In my personal opinion, I think it's a big fight. Two great southpaw fighters. What chance does Frank Martin have to beat Gervonta Davis, and what could it be, or what can he do to beat Gervonta Davis, in your personal opinion?
On paper, not much, meaning that he has the same chance as all of the 1,000+ fighters who've scored great, unforgettable upsets in similar circumstances over the years. We've seen it before, so you can never rule it out. There are lots of reasons to make Davis the favorite in the fight, but boxers are human beings. They are imperfect, and you never know when you're going to step into the ring with somebody who has exactly the right formula to properly counter what you do and what you have. And it's no secret to Martin that Tank gets all the publicity, and Tank gets all the acclaim, and Tank gets all the build-up as the favorite in the fight. So if Martin can counterpunch effectively and handle Tank's power, he's got a chance to spring a big upset and create a lot of attention for himself.
So obviously, you know, like you said, we've seen that, you know, Gervonta Davis is favorite going to this fight. Are you expecting a knockout? What are you expecting for Gervonta Davis on his side? 27
knockouts and 29 wins. You know, so why would you bet against it? And he's an unusual combination of skills in the sense that he's not a flood the zone knockout puncher. He's a selective knockout puncher. He doesn't risk a lot to try to seek knockouts. He sets up tactical, thoughtful, skillful, scientific, one punch at a time type knockouts. He relies on his accuracy and his careful selection of punches, and he's done a brilliant job of it so far. It's quite a formula, and this is maybe the most meaningful test for it up to this point.
So he's been out of the ring about a year, if I'm not mistaken. Do you believe that this ring rust could affect him going to the fight? Maybe see him?
Always. Ring rust is always a factor, and you know, it can take time once you get back in there to regain the reflexes and the timing and the instantaneous thought process that is necessary to be the kind of fighter he's been. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen, just means he might need a round or two or three to warm up.
Frank Martin, you know, going back to Frank Martin, do you think he just needs to stay a little bit more composed or come out aggressive throughout the fight? Because, you know, we've seen that like Rolly Romero. He would box him at first day on the outside. Then when he got off his game plan, that's when he got caught. But it's something that Frank Martin should do or should watch out as, you know, the first round goes in.
It's the same for any fighter. You have to find that happy medium between I'm being aggressive enough to create the right opportunities against my opponent to I'm not being aggressive enough to create easy counter-punching opportunities that can get me hurt. Tank Davis is the kind of opponent who can hurt you if you overcommit or create easy counter-punching opportunities for him. There are all sorts of reasons why Tank is the favorite in the fight. So Martin is the one person who has to figure out what he can do to redress that balance and achieve a chance to win the fight against Tank Davis, a fighter who is very logically a strong favorite over him.
Yesterday with the rivals, the grand rivals, I'm sure you saw and heard of everything that happened. Gervonta didn't show up. What do you make of all that?
I don't understand why a fighter doesn't show up to help promote the event in which he's going to appear. Maybe he feels that he's a big enough attraction at this point and has accomplished enough at this point that he doesn't need to sell tickets or pay-per-views, and it's on the other guy to do it, whatever. But there's no way that Frank Martin is as big a public figure or is as capable of selling tickets and pay-per-views as Tank Davis is. That's not true in this universe or any other. So logic tells you that Tank gave money away yesterday.
He gave money away?
If he wanted to give money away, I hope he had a good reason for it.
There was a video circling on social media that he was running. He was running throughout the grand rivals here in Vegas. He was running, so people were saying maybe he's trying to keep up with his weight or trying to maintain the weight, and I don't know. That's what people were saying at the moment.
So the suggestion is that he needed that extra time yesterday to work to remove weight.
Maybe.
Well, I guess we'll find out, and I do think that, you know, he's probably just looking at him. I would make a guess that he is struggling from time to time to stay in the package in which it currently appears. That we're going to see him at 130, we're going to see him at 135, we're going to see him at 140, we're going to see him at 147 eventually. I think that whole progression is in front of him. It's only a matter of how rapidly it takes place.
In your opinion, do you think Tank can overall beat Shakur? You know, Shakur, that's a fight that people are wanting to see, obviously, as well with the Devin, but we saw what happened with Devin recently. We'll talk about that too. But do you think this fighter, Gervonta Davis, was above 90% rate of knocking people out? Do you think he'll beat Shakur?
Well, he has to make it his kind of fight. You know, it's a great theoretical matchup. It's a fight that we all ought to want to see. We know what Bob Arum has said about Shakur Stevenson, and Bob is, you know, obviously a qualified source with a deep background of experience. He also has a promotional reason to think what he thinks, and that's been a part of the sport for as long as we've been watching it. But at the end of the day, it's a great matchup. Everybody wants to see it. It's a reason to hope that Tank is successful and comes out of the fight in good shape this weekend. But if Tank Davis gets beaten by Frank Martin, then Frank Martin wants to fight Shakur Stevenson. Everybody has the same ambition.
Everybody. So it's given what happens on Saturday, we'll see what will be next for Gervonta Davis. But I know that Shakur fight was lingering around. And, you know, we're talking about Devin Haney at the moment. Your overall thoughts of the whole situation that happened, the aftermath of Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney, the failed drug test, and obviously the B sample came back again positive. What's your overall thoughts on that and the whole situation?
I don't think VADA lies. I don't believe VADA falsifies results. I believe if the results say that that Ryan Garcia had that substance in his system, he had that substance in his system. We can argue all night as to how and by whom, et cetera, but at the end of the day, again, I don't believe VADA lies. So I accept a certification of that result, and I hope that Ryan Garcia corrects whatever are his own personal procedures and his in-camp procedures going forward into the next fight so that the same thing doesn't happen again. The sport deserves fair competition. The sport does not deserve artificial chemical enhancement.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of conspiracies. You know, a lot of people build conspiracies with a lot of situations, and
social media garbage. I do not subscribe to social media. You know, I'm the last dinosaur with regard to this kind of stuff. People can read social media all they want. That's not professional media. Professional media are worth reading because that is information reported by reporters who are trained to report accurate information. Social media, something that some guy down the corner wrote into his cell phone, I don't need that. That's a good way to say it. And it is not informative in any way, shape, or form with regard to what is accurate information.
Let's switch the page. And I like what you said that overall about the social media, but let's switch the page. The big news came out recently. Turkey, His Excellency, it's rumored that he would like to buy all the promotions and make it a league. Now, it sounds good hearing it at first, but you know, there's a lot of egos that got to put in place, a lot of paperwork he's going to have to go in place.
He's not the first, and he won't be the last, all right? This goes back to the days of Tex Rickard. You know, you can go back 100 years and find promoters who wanted to take control of boxing under their own umbrella and for their own purposes. I'm not saying that he can't do it. I'm not saying it's the wrong ambition. I'm just saying that we've seen it before.
But ideally, do you think it would be something perfect? Because, you know, in the past few years, let's go back 10 years or so.
Perfect.
We always wanted to see those fights that we didn't get, but we got them all late, you know?
Right.
And maybe that could be one of the biggest things. If we could see that we do have a league, we'll see all the fights we want to see at its due time. Could that be probably an upside of it? Could you agree with that?
I'm in favor of anything that improves the chance of the best fights taking place at the right market prices for the best fighters. I'm in favor of anything that encourages all that. The notion that we can somehow achieve a perfected process for that is insane. This is a human sport conducted by human beings. The fighters are human. They're capable of mistakes. The trainers are human. They're capable of mistakes. The managers are human. They're capable of mistakes. And the promoters are human. They're capable of mistakes. And oh, by the way, the fans and the broadcasters and the writers, we're all human. We're all capable of mistakes. Nothing is ever going to be perfect. That's part of the charm of the enterprise.
So you think it'll work out? You don't think it'll work out? Or what do you think overall about it?
I mean, money talks. It will work out if he can cobble together enough money to make it work for a significant number of fighters and their constituencies, and then there's still almost inevitably going to be others who will find themselves left outside the fence and are going to say this doesn't work, and you'll still have some fans who want to see those fighters. So where do you go? I wish everybody luck. I never count on perfection.
It's like a puzzle. You have a lot of those pieces, and then you put it together. Could be good, could be bad, I don't know, but it's just...
It's a human enterprise.
Yeah.
It can't be perfect.
Yeah, we're going to have to wait a couple of more, I guess, what happens next, if that's actually going to go through, what happens with all the promotions. Lastly, for me, there's still that lingering, that talk of Canelo Crawford, that fight that, you know, Crawford going up, I guess, if it's going to be 3 or 4 weight classes, if I'm not mistaken. Could that fight, or should that fight take place, and if it does take place, do you give Crawford any possibility of beating Canelo? Because there's weight classes for an option. What do you think? I mean, there's weight classes for a reason.
I was the voice of the fight the night several years ago when Top Rank was looking for an opponent to put in to a pay-per-view undercard fight with a rising prospect from South America named Bradis Prescott, who was expected to have a giant future. And a manager named Cameron Duncan and a fighter named Timothy Bradley talked Top Rank into putting Terence Crawford into that fight. When there was no particular on-paper reason to believe that Crawford was the right guy to fight Bradis Prescott. Crawford took Bradis Prescott to town, beat him, and became ultimately the star that he is today. I would never tell Terence Crawford he can't do anything. There's no... If Terence Crawford told me, I'm going to become a light heavyweight and I'm going to fight David Benavidez, I would say Terence knows better than I do what he can do. I mean, does it make any sense? No, it doesn't make any logical sense. So, at the end of the day, we can speculate all we want about what he can do or what he should do, but nobody's going to decide this other than Terence Crawford. He is willful, he is stubborn, he is self-possessed, he is possessed of enormous self-belief. He is as confident as any person I've ever met. If I tell Terence Crawford, you can't drive your Ferrari from this intersection to the next one, he's going to get into the Ferrari and prove to me that I'm wrong. So I look forward to seeing whether Terence can prove everybody wrong about what he can or should do. And I also look forward to finding out whether Canelo Alvarez wants that fight.
Well, Canelo's been very open about it when he said, I'm not going to win anything from the fight, because if I beat him, they're going to say, well, he was too small. He's not going to get the recognition he deserves. But he has more to lose and nothing to gain, really. So what do you think about that?
Set the fight up, see how many people buy the pay-per-view hookup, and that'll help Canelo figure out whether it's a reasonable thing to do.
Jim, thank you so much for your time and speaking with Fight Hub TV. I know lastly here, we're payperview.com. You're going to be co-host the exclusive viewer chat in real time throughout Saturdays. Fight of Tank Davis versus Frank Martin, which will be on HD live stream at 8 p.m. Eastern, only on payperview.com.
A new medium of communication. Join the live chat during the fight.
Thank you so much, Jim.
My privilege.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching this video, and make sure to subscribe for more videos of your favorite fighters over here on Fight Hub TV, and give us a follow online as well at Fight Hub TV on Twitter and on Instagram. We appreciate it, guys.